Hello everyone, my name is the King of Candles, and welcome back to the Minecraft Book Club, the series where I play Minecraft while talking about books. And today we're going to be starting Catcher and the Rye by J.D. Salinger, and we're specifically going to be talking about chapters 1, 2, and 3 today. However, before we do that, there's something I want to do here. Whoopsies, I don't need any of that. Get it out of here. I think right here, yes. Okay, so this was like my first base in episode 1. We kind of just dug into this hill. But if I remember correctly, right, there's a mine going down here. And there should be an amethyst crystal. Yeah, okay, perfect. Because I was thinking that I would like to zoom in on some stuff. But it's kind of hard to at the moment because I'm so against mods. But if we can get ourselves some crystals, then we can make ourselves a little telescope thing, a spyglass. Also, if you will notice, a lot of my tools are at full health now, and that's because I've been doing a little off-camera work, just getting some mending going. So all our wonderful, beautiful tools now have mending, and we will not be losing them anytime soon, which is splendid. But I believe I have some copper. Oh yeah, we got quite a lot of copper. And I believe the recipe is that. Is it that? I will get this. There we go, spyglass. So now, when I'm talking about like, oh, the fence, blah, 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 now we can actually focus in on the fence in question. And this thing's going to be handy for the project today, which is the terraced farms here. I like them, except it's like very small. So we're going to put them on the entire slope of the mountain all around here. Basically anywhere that we have the fence going. So that point until right around there above our little cave. So that's going to be a massive project, but that's why it was so important that we got our tools with mending, because otherwise they would break, because they were already pretty low. And while we're at it, I think I want to enchant 2 of our items. So I have this diamond hoe and a diamond shovel, and I was going to put mending on it, but then I was like, wait a second, we can just enchant them first. I'm hoping I don't get silk touch, because I have a silk touch shovel already. I'm hoping for like fortune. God, get rid of this. Let's try that again. That's also pretty garbage. Goodness. Come on, 3rd time's a charm, right? No silk touch. Efficiency 4, that's fine. And then a diamond hoe, fortune 3. That's a really good diamond hoe, goodness. Now we can go ahead and throw mending on both of these. Oh, that already has it. Where is it? There's our new shovel. Be cool if we had unbreaking, but it is what it is, you know. I mostly just wanted this shovel so I could actually harvest the clay here, because we have a ton of clay that I need, and if I do it with silk touch, I just get the clay block, and I want bricks, so we cannot be doing the blocks. So yeah, as I was saying, this town is going to get quite the visual upgrade today. I'm sure that once we're done here, it's going to be weird looking back on all the episodes prior to this, because it should change the landscape quite a bit, you know, because we don't really look at anything up in this area, but it's going to be farms now. So lots of terraced farms all over the area, and we're going to get that done today. So I believe we're just going to work from the top down here and just like remove this dirt on the top. And then once we get this layer all flat, we'll move on to the next layer and get on with it. So as usual, I want to start off by giving a little summary of the segment we just read, just for everyone that hasn't been reading the book with us, which I think is everybody at this point. Honestly, I don't think anyone's reading the book. If you are reading the book, let me know, but because if we're not reading the book, I might just pick like a really difficult book next time, something that's a lot more interesting. Not that Catcher in the Rye isn't interesting, it's just like I have other interests than these like high school books. So who knows, maybe we read like a deep political book next time. Alright, so as I was saying, we're going to do a little summary of these first 3 chapters of Catcher in the Rye. So I think I'll preface this by saying I believe the book is set in like the 50s, I'm pretty sure. But the book starts off with Holden basically saying like, hey, I know you're expecting a backstory, but I'm not going to give you one. But then immediately after saying that, he kind of gives a backstory anyway. So he talks about how his brother DB is out in Hollywood making movies or something like that. But Holden also has to say like, "Oh, I hate movies. Movies are like the worst." So that's a thing. And then he talks about how he goes to Pensy Prep, which is a boys' school. Has a lot of false ads, according to him, of just people like transforming from boys into men. He thinks it's just like advertising and it's just a typical school. So then he kind of just talks about his experience there. He's talking about how he's on the fencing team, and that morning they had a tournament down in New York City, and he left all their equipment on the subway, so they had to forfeit, and he was kind of bummed about that. He also mentioned how he's failing like 4 out of 5 of his classes, and that the school is gonna get rid of him soon because he's failing. And basically, as he's going home for, I think it's Thanksgiving break, he's kind of just saying goodbye to the school, because he knows he's not coming back, he's getting kicked out. And speaking of getting axed, dude, my tools are basically dead. I have both shovels. This one only has efficiency 4, no unbreaking, so I'm gonna have to, go back down and heal these tools up. We're also going to be filling up so many chests with just dirt and random stuff. I imagine I'll use the dirt for something eventually, so I'm going to keep a hold of it. It doesn't hurt. We have enough boxes. So since he's getting kicked out, he is basically watching the football game to get a sense of goodbye, right? It's like his way of saying goodbye to the school. So Holden decides to leave this football game a little early to go see his history teacher, Spencer. And as he's going to Spencer's house, he crosses the road and mentions that he feels like he disappears a little each time he crosses a road. So he gets to Spencer's house, and Miss Spencer kind of brings him into his office. And Holden looks at Mr. Spencer and is like, wow, this guy's really old and sick looking. But Spencer looks at him and he's like, kid, life is a game. Life is Roblox. So as Mr. Spencer is describing all this to Holden, Holden starts to get curious about where the ducks go when the pond freezes over in the winter. And because he's thinking about this, he doesn't really pay attention to what old Spencer is saying. Alright, sorry. Mr. Spencer's gonna have to wait 1 second before we hear his words of wisdom. But I've been at this for 3 hours, right? I've gotten this done, and that's it. Like, the top area is flat, this area is flat, and then, for some reason, it took that long for it to occur to me that we can just cover everything. We don't have to dig into the entire cliff to make this, right? So we just, like, expand out. Oh, hold on, I got a telescope. So basically what we do is we build the wood, and then we have that, like, dirt coming out of the side of the mountain, so we don't have to dig like an entire chunk of the cliff to make this flat area. We just expand it out and then put the wood thing, and then we just grow crops right there. Because what I have been doing is cutting into the cliffside like that, and honestly, when we cover everything with wood and dirt, no one's gonna know the difference, right? I don't really care about, making it actual terraces. We can have it hollow on the inside here. We'll just light it up so we don't get mob sounds constantly. And we'll still have to mine like a bit of the dirt. Like there's these uneven bits right here that if I cover with wood, there's no space for this. So we're going to have to tear down some of these chunks, but it's going to be a lot less than, digging into the entire cliffside. Because I have so much junk from this. We've only been at it for 3 hours, but I have this double chest, this double chest, this double chest, and then we're filling up this one too. So honestly, I think I'm just going to go, instead of the like dig into the cliff method, we're just going to cover it. So I don't know why it took me that long to figure that out, but we're going to do it that way now. Alright guys, so I've kind of just been going around building these outside bits for now, and I honestly have not felt this pain in such a long time. because, we demolished this entire forest. I have my inventory full of spruce logs, and I just grabbed them, so this is where I just felt it. But our spruce chest is basically empty. So this is going to be a long episode if I run out, and I think this was like 7 stacks of wood just to like go around and build a small perimeter. And I'm just going through and stacking wood on top of wood. And I think we're going to run out of wood. So I'm going to have to spend a lot of time farming wood, which sucks because I hate farming wood. But I'm hoping it pays off because it should look really cool when it's done. But yeah, back to earlier. Right, Holden was in the office of... What? Okay, but yeah, I'm just gonna ignore those guys. Holden was in Mr. Spencer's office, just talking about stuff, and he was thinking about ducks. And then basically Mr. Spencer kind of looks at him and he's like, "You have no concern for your future." And then Holden leaves, and geez, guys, come on. So Holden leaves, and as he's leaving, I think Mr. Spencer or Mrs. Spencer says like, "Good luck." And then he's like, well, good luck is actually like a really... He doesn't say this, but he thinks that good luck is a really rude thing to say just because it means that they don't think you're capable of doing it already, so you need luck, or something like that. It's a little odd. So as he's leaving, he starts talking about just like speakers and how they're really phony and they don't really do anything. I feel bad trapping this dog here because it's just like dark. But yeah, he says that these phony speakers always have these corny jokes that aren't really that good, and their speeches are always just like really fake. And they're probably being just paid to be there, so their speeches are just a paycheck, and they're not genuine. And he kind of talks about this while going back to his dorm room, which is like the Austenberger dorm room. I think that's what makes him go on the tangent, is Austenberger's some like speaker. So yeah, he gets back to his dorm and he puts on this red hunting hat that he bought while in New York City after the little fencing incident. And the dorms here are kind of these like connected rooms. So you have 2 beds and then a connected bathroom and then another 2 beds. But the kid from the other room, this guy named Ackley, just barges in. And Holden doesn't really like Ackley that much because Ackley just comes in and like touches everything, just like picks stuff up, looks at it, puts it back down. And he just like is a very touchy guy, touches everything in the room. He has this hangnail on him, so he asks Holden for some scissors and starts cutting it off, which, I mean, rightfully disgusts Holden. But then the roommate that Ackley doesn't like, this guy named Stradlater, he comes in. He seems kind of like a jock in the way he's described here, but he basically comes in, Ackley goes away, and then he asks Holden for his jacket so he can borrow it. And Holden's like, yeah, sure, you can borrow my jacket. So yeah, that's basically a little summary of the segment we read. And if you can't tell, I ran out of logs pretty quickly. I could only get... So I got all of this area done, which this kind of sucks now because it looks like it's blending into the wall. So I'm probably going to have to change that to dark oak. And then I didn't realize that these spruce saplings make podzol. But honestly, I think the podzol is a better choice for this area than the like bright green grass. So we might keep the podzol. So I might have to grow a bunch of trees everywhere to make sure we get a consistent grass all around here. I also have barely touched this section over here, so that's going to be a little rough too. I'll probably make a new section coming out of there and then going up and maybe connecting up with these top ones that I eventually do. So I'm just going to finish up these wooden terraces and then we'll be back with some notes of the book and just planting all the crops. I just finished this. And that took an absurd amount of time, guys. I edit the videos as I go, and that last clip, I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna finish this and we'll be right back. This took forever, right? Placing that last slab made me feel like there's this famous picture of like the Pacific Union Railroad, like finishing their railroad, and the like mayor of Salt Lake City or whatever gets to nail in the spike. Like, that's me. Also, look at how many times I had to sleep. I died once because I fell, and then an Enderman got me for some reason. This took, ow. So that's why I die, right? But yeah, this entire thing right here took 15 hours to do. And I honestly don't know what to do with this section right here. It's just kind of odd. And like, it doesn't connect well with the other side. I could just make it all planks. I'll probably do that. But then it makes this like nether mine look weird. So maybe I just make this like a rocky spike eventually. Who knows? When I was harvesting trees, I've made this podzol land thing. I'm so tired. I filled this chest up with spruce logs twice. Or like, this is the second time. So it took like so many spruce logs, guys. If we hit F3, if you look right here, we're on day 352. After that last clip, we were at day 271. And I have just been placing spruce planks and mining dirt and placing dirt. And while I did that, I was listening to the Imp and Skiz podcast, a couple Hermitcraft people. And I got through 15 episodes. But roughly 15 hours later, and here we are in Fort Oxbow. This is the craziest project I have ever done in my life on Minecraft, right? This took so long, and we're not even done yet. We're not even done. So we have 3 more things we gotta do. First is there's this problem over here. All of these things are like hollow. Okay, well that was a bad example. These things are hollow, and I keep having Endermen spawning in, and then like during the day they'll just teleport everywhere. It's really annoying. So we gotta go and light up all of these, which is going to be a pain because I'm probably going to die. Secondly, we need to place water at the correct intervals and till the land. And then third, we gotta fill all of these with seeds. And I'm kind of concerned that this harvest will not give us all the seeds we need. But this thing has just consumed my life. I spent all day yesterday, all day today doing this. But we keep moving forward. Oh boy. I am not excited for this. So one of the first things I want to talk about in the book is the writing style, which is stream of consciousness, I believe. And this just means like anything that Holden is thinking about is just blurted onto the page. Oh my gosh. But stream of consciousness is a style where the author just like writes as they would talk, basically, or basically how they would think. So essentially what you hear in like YouTube narration of gaming content. Honestly, I really enjoy this writing style because, oh shoot, if I die here, this is bad. This is really bad, actually. Let's make a new pocket. So I personally really like stream of consciousness because it lets you kind of go into the mind of the character a lot more than something else. And honestly, it kind of just feels like someone's talking to you, telling a story, like some old man, you know, just telling stories of their life. That's what I'm getting from Holden's narration in this book. I know a lot of people dislike this style of writing, but personally it's just really cool. Very different compared to most books and very unique. I also personally could relate a bit to Holden's, you know, just saying goodbye to the school. I was a transfer student during COVID, which was a weird time, but as I was leaving the university I was attending, you know, I'd go and visit things that I probably didn't really attend most of the time, but it was kind of just a thing I could go and look back to. And it's weird saying goodbye to things in general. And I think Holden demonstrated that really well. Like, he tries going to the football game, but that doesn't really do it. So he goes and talks to his favorite teacher, but that kind of ends pretty badly for him as well. I think just in general, it's really difficult to say goodbye sometimes. And Salinger definitely demonstrated that pretty well in the book. I also really liked Holden's conversation with good old Spencer about life being a game, life is Roblox. Because I think that's something that doesn't really make sense to young people, but now that I'm a little older, it kind of makes a bit more sense. I think the general idea is basically like, yeah, you have free will, you can live your life however you want, but there are certain ways that you gotta live your life if you want to be successful. And deviating from those too much can be an issue. So for someone like Holden to just disregard his life, disregard his future, just because, he thinks everyone's phony right now, he's perfectly capable of doing that and no one's going to stop him, but it's just not a good idea. You got to spend your youth getting familiar with the game of life and learning how to play it so that when you're thrown into life, you're not just completely destroyed by it. Kind of like how I'm being destroyed by all these skeletons, Holden's got. Oh my gosh. Okay, we need to get out of here. Oh, yep, I am getting destroyed myself. But to Holden's credit, you definitely have to get familiar with playing the game first before any of Spencer's wisdom is actually useful. So there's a dichotomy there of trying to understand how to play the game without actually playing the game before. There are so many Endermen here, man. And they keep just messing with my blocks. It's really annoying. Good thing we've killed so many of them, right? Because hopefully they should be dead and not messing with my blocks anymore. It's really annoying with these random blocks just placed around like that. But I think we've lit everything up, so they shall not be coming back. So since we have that iron farm, I figured, it'd be worth my time to just make a bunch of buckets. And, oh, I guess they stack. But in case we didn't, here's a bundle. And I think these are new. We can just, put buckets in here. Oh, well, that's annoying. That kind of ruins my plan with that. So this thing is useless. But we now have the luxury of just going over here and spamming buckets, so I don't have to go down each time I need water. So in the same conversation with Mr. Spencer brings up that Holden has no regard for his future. He's kind of just living willy-nilly at this point, and he needs to be more worried about his future, especially if he's failing so much he's getting kicked out of the school. And I agree with Mr. Spencer's concern. However, a lot of kids don't have the capability of worrying about their future because it's impossible to comprehend. I personally remember back in high school a lot of kids talking about how miserable their lives were and how, there wasn't a point to life because it's all just misery to them. And when you're a kid, you can be like, oh, yeah, I can see that. But then as you get older and you're given more life experience, you start to realize that, the miserableness of high school is such an insignificant part of your life. And, in the grand scheme of things, it really does not matter at all in your life what happens in high school. But if you tell a high schooler that, the drama in high school isn't important and no one even remembers the drama in high school, they just cannot comprehend that you've forgotten that. So as much as Mr. Spencer wants to tell Holden to worry about his future, Holden's going to be wrapped up in the concerns of today because he simply doesn't have the capability to know why he should be concerned for his future. And I think that's a different perspective I get out of the book, reading it now as an adult instead of a high schooler. So Holden went on a little rant about truly inspirational speeches, and I definitely agree with him there. There's so many speakers that come and speak for stuff, and they're just I guess really phony is the way he put it, and I agree with that assessment. I definitely think that there's a huge lack of actually good speeches. I could not tell you a single speech that I found inspirational that wasn't from the 40s. Or I guess the 60s. JFK's We Will Go to the Moon speech is pretty good. But it's very rare for a speech to actually be good enough for, for it to be inspirational. And it seems like every school tries to make something that's not recreatable into their graduation speeches, or they'll have guest speakers come and they're really just there probably for a paycheck. To me, a truly inspiring speech doesn't come from something like a graduation ceremony or really anything celebratory. It usually comes out of times that are like dire or times that are very difficult for people. So I've never understood why schools try and do graduation speeches, just because to me, the crowd isn't going to be receptive at all. To be truly inspirational, you have to have people that are willing to listen and desperate for change or desperate for something passionate. And high schoolers, you're not going to get that with high schoolers. So because I believe that you can't have a good speech unless you're in a dire situation or time, school speeches are just going to be bad by default. So I definitely agree with Holden here that a lot of them just kind of come off as phony. You know, you could take the same speech and put it in a different situation and it could be like one of the best speeches in the world, but because of the circumstances around the speech, they just can't be that inspirational because people are not in the need of inspiration. On a sillier note, I definitely agree with Holden about how annoying Ackley is. Just reading about him on the page makes me annoyed, drives me nuts. I had a roommate that would just come into my room and pick stuff up and put it down, pick stuff up and put it down every single time he came into my room. And that definitely drives me nuts. I don't know why it annoys me, but there's just something about someone going into your room and just like touching your books and putting them on the shelf or picking up little trinket decorations you have and then just putting them back down. I don't know. It drives me crazy. I hate it. So I also just hate Ackley. So the last thing I want to talk about in this book is the difference between authenticity and phoniness. Phoniness is something that Holden mentions a lot throughout this book, so I figured we'd just talk about it now. In my opinion, the way people come off as phony or authentic is nearly 100% up to how, we perceive it. Let me rephrase that. So I believe most people are authentic. I mean, there's some people that are phony. But if we don't like a particular person, we're a lot more likely to call them phony or disingenuine. So anytime Holden calls someone phony, I definitely take it with a massive pound of salt. Because it's likely that they're just a normal guy, but Holden just dislikes them for some reason. But yeah, that's about all I have to talk about for this segment of the book. For the next episode, we'll be talking about chapters 4, 5, and 6. So every video is just going to go through the next 3 chapters of the book. So if you are following along, be sure to read those 3 chapters. And also let me know in the comments, because if no one's following along, we're going to do a more difficult book for sure. Oh, look at that. We're done. We are done. 23 podcast episodes total. So quite the episode. We are on day 433. Which is quite a lot of days. And I'll be the first to admit right here, this does not look very pretty. There's a lot of problems like this, and the podsole blending in. There's still grass everywhere. But I think in the long run, it'll be worth it. I definitely intend to decorate this a bit more, but I am kind of burnt out with this project. In the next episode, we'll definitely be going back to our normal, just like small buildings for a while. And then maybe we'll retouch this. I've got some more plans with this area for sure. Even if everything's just plain, I think the scale of it makes it very pretty. So anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. This was the biggest project I have ever done in Minecraft. If you'd like to see what we do in the future with this area or are interested in my discussions of the book, be sure to subscribe. It means a lot. Yeah, thank you all for watching. Have a great day.